Just touching base on where we are, as of yesterday, there were 24,821 confirmed cases and 670 fatalities. As we've said all along, we continue to base the decisions that we're making on the data, and after 3 weeks of modified phase 1 restrictions, we are now able to move forward into a modified phase 2. That's going to be very similar to the state's phase 2 with a couple of key distinctions, and we'll walk you through those today. We are going to be moving to 50% capacity across the board for restaurants and businesses. Outside. These restrictions will remain in place for 3 weeks through Mardi Gras. Bars will remain closed throughout this phase and through Mardi Gras, regardless of where we are in the positivity rates. When we announced our return to modified phase 1 3 weeks ago, we had a positivity rate of 10.4%. As of yesterday, our rate was at 5.9, and now it's a little below 5 at this point. To be clear, this isn't where we need to be yet, but we are definitely heading in the right direction. There's a very clear cause and effect, and I want everybody to be very clear on that. When we change our behavior, when we see the numbers go up, we make an adjustment and the numbers go back down. That's not abstract. Those are lives that are being saved. So the difficult decisions that we've made, the sacrifices that residents and businesses have been called on to make, have saved lives. They've made a difference. And I think that's very much reflected in the data and the numbers. It's not the time to let our guard down, and we certainly need to remain vigilant throughout carnival season and beyond. There is, as I think everyone is aware, a new variant of COVID-19 that is more contagious, that has been detected in Louisiana. So we can't let up and we can't let our guard down. The things that helped us flatten the curve this time, the last time, and before that will continue to work going forward. They continue to be the best practices. Wear your mask, practice social distancing, avoid large gatherings, and wash your hands. We're all very proud and very grateful to our residents and to our businesses for all the work and the sacrifice that they've made to get us this far. And we're confident that as we step forward, as we move forward, that everyone's going to continue to do their part, and we're very grateful for that. I'll now turn it over to Dr. Avegno, and then I'll be back up for some questions.
Thanks, Bo. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to flesh out, a lot of what Bo said, and happy to answer questions as well. Once again, as he noted, we've seen a clear relationship between the spread of COVID-19 and the individual actions and really the community-wide actions we're all taking on a daily basis. By seriously restricting interactions between people in New Orleans over the last 3 weeks, we've seen an improvement in all of the metrics that we watch every day. Cases are falling, but they're still higher than we want them to be. Hospitalizations are slowly improving, both in New Orleans and statewide, but make no mistake, our hospitals are still stretched. The rate of positive tests is under 5% for the first time since early December. These improvements are really promising and have gotten us to where we are today, but I need to stress that we are nowhere near out of the woods. And we're likely still seeing the impacts of our surge 3 weeks ago in the number of deaths reported in January. There have been 34 deaths to date in January. That's fairly high for a month, and it does reflect the fact that deaths generally lag 2 to 3 weeks after the peak of an infection. So the small strides we've made will allow us to inch back towards normalcy, which is why we're here announcing the modified phase 2. And again, just to reiterate what that means in changes from where we are currently. Most sectors will be allowed to resume to 50% capacity. So that's retail, that's restaurants, that's office buildings, that's churches. Everything that was at 25% by and large goes to 50%. Again, this doesn't include bars. They still could not open under state regulations anyway, indoors. Social gatherings will be limited to 10 indoors and 25 outdoors, with masks and social distancing still required at all times. Again, we're making these changes because these sectors, our business community, have again proven that by and large they can conduct business safely when they follow the guidelines. And social gatherings continue to be our main source of spread. I really want to clarify what we mean by social gatherings because I think there might be a little confusion. These include social events like a wedding, a party, a backyard barbecue, a second line, an event at an event space. These are all examples of what a social gathering's in. In these settings, people are mingling, mixing with each other. They're not generally seated for the entire duration. They are close to each other, not distant. They are often in the situation where they're taking off their masks, whether it's eating and drinking or whether it's to socialize, rather than masked. That's very, very different from what we think of even when we go to a restaurant and you're seated at the same place for a long amount of time, only taking that mask off to eat or drink, or an office building, or a classroom. Very, very different. These situations are considered high risk, even potential super spreaders, because the number of people coming into close contact with each other. That's why these gatherings remain limited, and we've put numbers on them, to 10 individuals indoors and 25 outdoors. Even this is a relaxation of where we just were, where it was not allowed to mix with anyone outside your immediate household. So this is a little bit of a relaxation, but because we know this is where the majority of spread is happening, it does not warrant going back up to large sizes. Again, the setting of an office space, a classroom, or a church service is not the same as a social gathering because people are seated, they are apart from each other, they do not get up and mix and mingle and walk around, and they're masked the entire time. At least they are if they're sticking to the guidelines, which they should be. So these activities are going back up to 50% capacity and do not have the same limits as social gatherings. The distinction here is in line from what we've heard for months from our State Department of Health contact tracing and other data about how the virus is being spread, as well as what we're hearing from communities all over the country. New Orleans, this is not any different than what we hear of the way the virus is spreading elsewhere. So although we're happy to be able to ease some restrictions, I don't want anybody to take away the wrong message. We are very much engaged in what may be the worst COVID surge to date. Certainly it is nationwide. Fortunately in New Orleans, it's not quite where we were last March. But there are a lot of unknowns in our future. The progress we've made in the last few weeks is very tenuous and could change with a single person carrying one of the variants. And I say variants because there's really more than one right now that are concerning to public health experts. There's the UK, which we'll talk about in a second. There's a South African variant, and there's a Brazilian variant, and 2 out of these 3 have been found in the US. What they seem to have in common is that they appear to be more contagious. We don't know exactly how much more contagious. There's been numbers ranging from 10% to 50% more contagious. Just by the fact that they're more contagious, that means they can cause more cases, more hospitalizations, and more deaths. Public health experts, the CDC on down, expect 1 or more of these, probably the UK variant, to be the dominant strain in the United States by March. So I want to just give you the example of the UK, of Great Britain. They have struggled with coronavirus very much like the US has. They were getting to a point last winter where, or just a month or so ago, where they were starting to ease their lockdown. People were going to pubs. They were having dining again. And then this variant completely overtook all of the other strains of virus. And now if you're following what's happening over there, they are back into full lockdown with their hospitals overwhelmed and their death rates surging. So that is how quickly things can change with one of these new variants. There is a lot we don't know about these. I do know that we are searching for them aggressively. I think you know that one of the a case of the UK variant was identified in this region a few weeks ago. So far, we have not had any more, but we're really ramping up our surveillance because, unfortunately, it may be only a matter of time. So with gatherings, a clear source of spread, with the concerns about the new variants on the horizon, we're asking everyone to be especially careful these next few weeks. Parades and second lines and other events we'd normally be having obviously cannot happen this year. It has really been incredible personally to watch all the creativity that has happened, creating the crew of house floats and all of the house decorations. This is an amazing way to adapt our traditions, to stay safe, and to keep people employed. And I really think it's the envy of a lot of cities. Please observe carefully. Don't be in a big crowd. I've been really pleasantly surprised to see people just walking with their families, taking pictures, wearing masks, being socially distant, enjoying what they see, but doing it in a safe way. We know now that last Mardi Gras likely contributed to the early and rapid spread of COVID and claimed the lives of many. So we just can't let that happen again. I'm going to close with an update on vaccines. I'm in contact with local, regional, state, federal health officials every day, and everyone is facing the same challenge, and that is supply. It's supply, supply, supply before anything else. We do not have adequate supply to vaccinate our current priority group, which includes our frontline healthcare workers, nursing home facilities, dialysis home health, and our 70-plus seniors. However, we're very encouraged locally. All of our healthcare providers who do have vaccine are squeezing every single dose out of every single vial. There has not been a drop wasted. They are actively going out and reaching our 70-plus population in general to try to get them scheduled. I'm really excited to see the number of our seniors who are taking advantage of this. We were nervous that there would be some hesitance, but I think this is a group that has suffered the most, and they know exactly what's at stake, and they are eager and willing to roll up their sleeves. We're working closely with our team in neighborhood engagement to speak with communities around the city about the vaccine, to answer questions, to do outreach, to hopefully convince people when it's their turn. We've done dozens of these events. We have many, many more to do. And that's been really great to see the participation and just the interest from the community. You've probably seen our Sleeves Up NOLA public service announcement, our fantastic campaign that is the envy of every city, and was in the New York Times and on the BBC this week, just showcasing our local culture bearers, what the vaccine means to them, and encouraging everybody to do what they need to do to feel confident to take it. So I hope everybody's getting the message that the vaccine is our way out. But right now is really a cause for patience and continuing to keep each other safe, because the vaccine is only going to work for people who are alive to take it. So I'll stop there, and I'm happy to tag team with Bo on any questions.